Steve Hartman this morning has the story behind the story of our newest national holiday.
Good grief.
At the age of 97,
Good morning.
just stepping out of a 4x4 is a major accomplishment. But Opal Lee has taken much greater strides than this, with no plans to sit anytime soon.
Where do we go from here? We don't have to sit around and wait for the Lord to come for us. In fact, he's going to have to catch me.
Opal
Tell you.
is a retired teacher and lifelong community activist in Fort Worth, Texas. She's mostly known for her successful campaign to make Juneteenth a national holiday. But what is lesser known is how that fire in her belly came to be. Back in 1939, when Opal was 12, her family moved into a house that stood right here in an all-white neighborhood. They'd lived here just 5 days when a mob showed up.
What did the mob do to your house?
They tore it asunder. They set stuff on fire. They did despicable things.
The family moved away and moved on. They just wanted to forget the horror. Until 8 decades later, when Opal Lee decided the time had come to remember it. So she looked up the address, found out the lot was still vacant and owned by the local chapter of Habitat for Humanity.
CEO Gage Yeager took Opal's call. He listened to her story, but then told her she could not buy that property.
Said, well, we won't sell it to you, Opal, but we'll give it to you. There's no option for anything else.
What'd you think when you heard that?
When I get happy, I want to do a holy dance, but the kids say I'm twerking, so I don't ever do it.
And she still hadn't heard the best news.
How are you?
Real good, real good.
Gage also offered to work with donors to put a house on her land for free.
And so it'll be a 3-bedroom.
Plans are done, and he hopes to have it ready for Opal to move in by her 99th birthday.
I want you to know that I've got a God who has been so good to me. I think if I ask, he'd let me have a couple of more years.
Request submitted.
Fast track, fast track.
Yeah.
Steve Hartman this morning has a story that puts the expression honey-do list in a whole new light.
After his retirement, and especially after his wife died, 76-year-old Danny Chauvin of Waveland, Mississippi, says he had way too much time on his hands.
If you're alone with just your thoughts, does your mind wander places?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That you don't want to go?
Yep. That's when stuff comes back to you.
Danny served in the Army in Vietnam. He's been treated for depression and PTSD. But to keep his sanity, he knew he also had to keep busy. But how?
And that's when Danny realized one of the things he missed most about his wife was all the little handyman jobs he used to do for her. So a few months ago, he posted a note on Facebook.
If there's any honeydew jobs that you can't handle, I'm willing to help.
And it spread like wildfire.
Thanks for coming to help me out.
So now, every day,
No problem.
sometimes 4 times a day, Danny fixes the hole in his heart by fixing just about everything else.
He's working on fixing a closet door.
And then he hung my porch swing,
He put in a shower.
and he did my screen door.
And the best part?
What does he charge for all this?
The price.
0.
Nothing. Charged us nothing. He showed much kindness to people.
We can fix that up.
Most of the people Danny helps are women, most single or widowed. They call him the honeydew dude and say he's just about the only guy they know willing to help with these small jobs. And obviously, no one's going to match his price point. In fact, when the work is done, only thing he takes is a picture, a reminder that he is not alone in his struggle.
Right now, I got a lot of friends. A lot of friends.
Is the PTSD any better now that you've started doing this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I was looking for.
Cross finding happiness off the honey-do list.
Voila. Okay, doke. No problem.
Steve Hartman this morning has a story of grief and forgiveness that is truly beyond words.
Nakia Cherry in the black and Stacy Green in the bright may look like besties from way back, but this is a bond born from bitterness.
I love you so much, Miss Stacy.
Do a twirl.
4 years earlier, Stacy's mom, Rosie, was killed in a car crash. The other driver, Nakia Cherry, was doing 73 in a 45. Atlanta area police charged her with vehicular homicide, and Stacy was glad to see her suffer.
Yes, I was consumed.
By what?
Anger, sadness, loss.
I mean, Stacy was furious.
Attorneys Jeb Butler and Tom Giannotti represented Stacy in the civil trial, and they made sure to keep the parties in the case apart.
I was worried that if they got together, the result would be incendiary. I was very pleasantly wrong.
Instead, last October, Stacy went up to Nakia in this courthouse. She thought of what her minister mother would say, and then told Nakia, "I forgive you."
And when I forgave her, it's like I was reborn again.
You make it sound like a miracle.
Nothing short.
It was an extraordinary step, but only the first step. From then to now, Stacy has gone so far beyond the words, "I forgive you," to the actions of, "I love you."
She's like a godmama to me. I talk to her every day.
Nakia lost everything after the crash. She now lives in a motel.
So I am committed to her life getting better.
Like how?
So I've helped her with money for food.
You've given her money?
Yes. Rent. I was her daughter's secret Santa. I booked a trip for her to go to Miami for her 40th birthday.
Her attorneys say they've never heard of anything like it.
She's remarkable, remarkable person.
And all that's great. That separates conversation from conviction.
Stacy didn't have to do that. I'm gonna cry.
Actually, Stacy says she did have to do all that, or she could have never forgiven herself.
We gotta make the best out of this situation. Right?
Yes. To Steve Hartman with a story about the power of a promise.
You can't hear him over the crowd, and that may be a good thing, as Auburn University coach Bruce Pearl sneers and snarls his way through yet another basketball game.
You see him on the court being tough and stuff to all the players, but there's a whole totally different side of Bruce outside of basketball, which is a nice, loving, and caring person.
Auburn freshman Sam Cunningham's unique perspective comes from his greatest struggle. When he was 12, Sam was diagnosed with leukemia, and not long after, someone asked Coach Pearl to record a video for him.
"You gonna beat this, son. Cancer? Pick the wrong hombre. Pick the wrong dude to mess with, okay?"
It was just real funny to me. Cancer picked the wrong hombre. It picked the wrong dude to mess with. That quote is what I kept with me when I got in my darkest days in the hospital and stuff.
Through all his complications,
"You gonna beat this, son.
through his relapse,
Pick the wrong hombre.
through the days that felt like they would be his last,
Pick the wrong dude to mess with,
Sam kept watching that video over and over.
okay?"
Eventually, Coach Pearl delivered the same lines in person,
Pick the wrong dude.
and they became friends. And then one day, Bruce gave him another, even more inspiring message.
Tell you what, you're gonna get better. You're gonna come to Auburn, and you're gonna be my assistant. And he takes me at my word.
He believed it.
He did. And he is.
Today, he is the team manager, and so happy to be here. In fact, Sam says Coach Pearl's encouragement may have saved his life.
That truly healed me. I didn't think I would really get to this point from all the complications I had, so that was pretty amazing. I'm just a miracle to be here right now.
This month, college coaches across the country will be praying for a national championship. But here at Auburn, this coach will be asking for something far more consequential.
In my prayers, it's, God, don't let this thing relapse. Take me. let Sam live.
Basketball seasons come and go, but great coaching lasts forever.
You've heard the expression, it takes a village. As Steve Hartman discovered, sometimes it really does.
In Cabot, Arkansas, just as the sun begins to set over the local Walmart, store janitor Bill Majalewski begins walking to work for his overnight shift. He will trek 5 miles, 2 hours, in any weather.
Pouring rain, you're walking 2 hours each way.
Yeah, I don't call out. I want to work.
He's gonna go to work no matter what.
Snow?
Snow, I picked him up at 9 degrees the other morning. Let's go.
A couple years ago, Christy Conrad saw Bill out walking and offered him a ride. She got to know him, learned about his daunting daily commute, and how he's also legally blind. So she began driving him whenever she could. At least, that's how it started.
Why did you feel the need to do more?
I can't be always there, you know?
So what was your plan?
Mr. Bill's Village.
Mr. Bill's Village is a Facebook group Christy started a couple months ago. She was hoping to find just a few volunteers to keep an eye out for Bill when he's walking.
And within days, it exploded.
It caught on really quick.
And now it's like everyone's competing to give Mr. Bill a ride.
They'll click and see, is Mr. Bill out walking? Is he headed to town?
So people are just driving around the streets looking for him?
Pretty much. Just like where's Waldo, but where's Mr. Bill? Yeah. It's nice to see.
Today, the group has 1,500 members. In fact, here comes one now.
Hey, Mr. Bill. Do you need a ride to Walmart? Oh, certainly. All right. Come on, hop on in.
You always get picked up now.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And it's always somebody different.
It's never the same person from one day to the next.
That's amazing.
There's a lot of good people in this world, all over the place, you know.
And on that note, here's one more good person.
I'm pretty good.
Chris Puckett is a car dealer. He wanted to give Bill a vehicle.
I wasn't aware that you couldn't drive.
But since Bill can't drive,
I'm legally blind.
I got you.
He handed the key to Christy instead,
For real?
putting the car in karma.
I don't even know what to say. Bill, go get in that front seat. Go over there.
Doing unto others. It's how they roll here in Mr. Bill's Village.
Thank you.
Bye, babe.
Dress for success is advice not normally tailored to third graders, until our Steve Hartman enters the picture.
Most 8-year-old boys don't get dressed to the nines. To them, suits are for bathing, and formal is a 4-letter word. But James Ramage of Chelsea, Maine loves to dress for third grade success. He started a couple years ago, and at first, the other kids didn't know what to think.
Every time I saw him, I was just like, okay. And I'm like, why is he dressing up?
James knew he stood out.
Did you just decide one day, I don't care what other people are wearing?
I don't need to look like them anymore. I can be who I want to be.
In any school, a decision like that can go a few different ways. You can be accepted for who you are, ostracized for who you aren't, or, in very rare circumstances, you can become a trendsetter.
It just kind of started. Then more people started to do it. Because it looked fun, and now people absolutely love it.
Today, once a week, Chelsea Elementary kids put on their finest for Dapper Wednesday. It's not a dress code. It's not because some adult said so. It's because the children chose so.
Nice dresses.
Teacher Dean Paquette was an early adopter and now an avid advocate.
Stop, look at this. You look awesome.
Being dressed up, kids are different.
It is.
I think it's a self-esteem thing, and then it carries with them all the way through the day.
All right.
The kids agree. Told me they love how it feels.
I'm a little itchy, but it's fine.
Figuratively speaking.
It feels like I'm not a kid anymore. It made me feel like I was ready for the day. It feels like I'm like a president.
When James started all this, he had no idea the impact.
What's it like to be a trendsetter?
It just feels so nice.
But he doesn't think every kid should wear suits. Just whatever suits them.
Just wear what they want to wear.
Self-confidence. Always a good look.
You might say Steve Hartman this morning keeps it all in the family.
You go get it. For the last 6 years, 7 months, and 17 days, my oldest son George has been patiently waiting and hoping for the clouds to clear and the sun to shine for his second chance at a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
It's like when you see a good movie and you go and see it again. One time just isn't enough to capture the true majesty of it.
I think it started.
I think so.
Back in 2017, George convinced me to take him to the last solar eclipse. At the time, he was so into astronomy, he took his planet book to swimming lessons, dressed up as the solar system for Halloween, and made his 3rd grade New Year's resolution to get a shrewd idea of how the multiverse could be real.
It's basically a theory about having not one, but an infinite number of universes.
And you'd like to understand it better?
Yeah, which I already have done.
Would you explain it to me someday?
I will.
George was 9 back then. Today, he's 16. He rarely reads about astrophysics anymore, but his desire to witness the moon's day in the sun has not waned.
It's almost like some great higher power pushed down on a dimmer switch on the universe. It does not seem like a natural occurrence, and yet it is.
I have to agree. It does feel like another planet. But for parents like me, the more awesome sight is the joy on the faces of our precious Earthlings.
Oh my God, it's so dark.
Assuming no clouds.
Is that devastation?
Of course it is. I mean, it's an eclipse, but so much of life is learning to cope with that devastation and find beauty where you might have trouble finding it.
And that would be spending special time with your family.
I'm not going to dignify that with a response.
A teenager agreeing with his parents in totality.
Look up there!
Perhaps the only thing rarer than a solar eclipse.
The love between mother and child knows no bounds. And if you need proof, here's our Steve Hartman.
A lot of kids in America want to run a lemonade stand, but not many feel like they have to. 7-year-old Emery Johnson started her business a few weeks ago after a terrible nightmare morning.
I woke up with the worst news of my life.
Emery's mother, Carly, died unexpectedly at the age of 29. She was a single mom and Emery's everything.
We go see Mommy?
Which is why she couldn't understand, first time she went to the cemetery with her grandmother Jennifer, why everyone else got giant granite headstones, but her mom, just this tiny metal one.
Did that bother you? Why?
Because it felt like she was being left out.
Her grandma tried to explain how they couldn't afford a headstone right now.
She had tears in her eyes and wanted to help.
So she did the only thing that she could think of to raise money.
Yes.
I made a lemonade stand.
A lemonade stand to pay for her mother's headstone. At first, she didn't make mention of her cause.
Thank you.
But word got out.
Thank you.
And before long,
Thank you.
Emery says it seemed like just about everyone here in Scottsboro, Alabama was thirsty for lemonade. The price was $1.
Thank you.
But she says people liked it so much,
How many cups do you want?
they often paid more.
Thank you. The most that we got for 1 cup of lemonade was $300.
For lemonade?
Yeah, for 1 cup.
Whoa! So far, Emery's lemonade stand has raised more than $15,000, which will all go into savings because a monument company is now donating the headstone. But more importantly, Emery has taken that lemon life handed her and squeezed out hope.
Her comment was when all these people came, she couldn't believe so many people cared for her and loved her mommy.
They always say it takes a village to raise a child, but sometimes it also takes a village to mourn a mom. Folks around here take that role seriously, offering Emery comfort by the cupful and all the love she can drink.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Steve Hartman tells us about a cold case with an ending that's nothing short of heartwarming.
Retired South Bend, Indiana Police Lieutenant Gene Eister says he can't drive past this apartment complex without reliving that day.
That was one of the strangest calls I think I've ever had. We have a found baby in a box. Yeah, you always wonder, what happened.
A newborn abandoned in a common hallway. It was 24 years ago, just before Christmas. And for Gene, the case of that baby boy Doe, swaddled in cardboard and blankets, didn't end after the child got to the hospital.
No, I went back with a teddy bear. Just a symbol. Let everyone that walked past know that he was cared about.
And you never forgot?
Nope. None of it.
For more than 2 decades, he wondered what became of this boy. Unfortunately, records were sealed, so there was no way to find out. Until a few weeks ago, when Gene got a phone call from a fellow officer. Guy said, "Remember that case, the baby left in the cardboard box? Well, you're not going to believe this."
And I thought, well, what? And he says, he's sitting next to me. I said, he's what? He's my rookie.
Meet Officer Matthew Hegedus Stewart. After his rescue, Matt was placed for adoption. He always knew he'd been left in a box, but only connected the dots to Gene after joining the department. Today, he wears the same uniform Gene did and patrols the exact same neighborhood.
Full circle moment. That hit home. I can only imagine from his point of view.
What it means?
Yeah.
He really can't imagine.
How you been? Good, how are you?
Because what to Matt may feel like coincidence, to Gene feels divined. Their reunion, this new friendship, it's all happening just a few months after Gene's only son, Nick, died unexpectedly at the age of 36.
So the timing couldn't have been any better to help fill a void that I've had to deal with.
24 years ago, Gene was called to be there for a child in need. Now, the child is set to return the favor. And whether it's a coincidence or not, the result is undeniably great police work.
Steve Hartman this morning explains how sometimes small acts of kindness can have huge consequences.
Inside Buckfeather, an outdoor sporting store in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, we met a great American success story.
Because it's about you.
At 42, owner Matt Busbus and his partners have built and sold several outdoor companies worth hundreds of millions. But Matt says he's never felt richer than he did the day he got the dollar.
I haven't had that much faith in humanity in a very long time.
He says it all began about a month ago. It was early morning, and the fire alarm was going off inside his condo complex. So Matt shot out of bed and raced down the stairs, only to discover there was no fire. But he's awake now. So even though he was wearing mismatched clothes and all disheveled, Matt decided to go out for a cup of coffee. And as he was about to enter the shop, he remembered he hadn't done his morning prayer. So, as the security camera shows, Matt stepped to the corner of the patio.
And I start to slowly open my eyes, and there's a kid coming at me about my height.
And with his fist clenched, so Matt prepared for battle.
And he goes, and reveals a dollar bill. And I go, what?
If you're homeless, here's a dollar.
This is 9-year-old Kelvin Ellis Jr.
I always wanted to help a homeless person, and I finally had the opportunity.
Kelvin says he had just gotten the dollar for good grades. It was the only money he had to his name. Matt was so touched. He invited Calvin in for a snack, connected with the boy's father, who was next door, and promised to stay in touch.
What's up, dude?
As a reward for his kindness, Matt gave Calvin a shopping spree. 40 seconds to pick out whatever he wanted in the store, including a new bike. Calvin says it was great, but definitely not what he wanted to get for his dollar.
What were you hoping would come from that?
Joy,
Joy?
because I helped someone. Give something away, you feel like you got a lot of things from it.
If you give, you're actually going to get more out of that. I couldn't grasp that as a kid. And if we can spread that around, everything changes.
$1. So well spent.
Cheers to friends forever.
They say love conquers all, and this Mother's Day, our Steve Hartman has proof.
For Peggy Means of Dowagiac, Michigan, Mother's Day was just another X on the calendar. Just another day without her daughter. In 2017, Jennifer was critically injured in a car crash. She was 35.
On life support?
Yeah.
And did the doctor tell you she wasn't going to make it?
He said that she's not going to wake up, you know. And of course I collapsed, you know. It was terrible.
Her only daughter in a coma with virtually no chance of ever coming out of it. And yet, Peggy refused to let doctors pull the plug.
Did you question your decision at any point?
No.
Not after year 1?
No.
Year 2, 3, 4, 5?
Never. I just couldn't let her go.
One by one, Jennifer's friends stopped visiting. Even her husband moved on with his life. And yet, almost every day, her mom was there to comfort and care, and always talking to her, as if Jennifer could actually understand, which of course, she couldn't. Until she could. It started with a laugh. Jennifer had been off life support, but still in a coma, when her mom said something funny. And that was it.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
A year later, Jennifer came home. Although she still can't walk and struggles to speak, her mind is sharp and her heart filled with joy.
What's the best part about being back among us? Everything?
Yeah.
She especially loves visiting with her boys. And as for Peggy, the mom who made these moments possible, this Mother's Day may be her best one ever. Because even though she won't be getting flowers or candy, Jennifer can now muster those words that matter most and deliver them as sincerely as they've ever been spoken.
You love your mom.
Yeah.
On this weekend marking the unofficial start of summer, Steve Hartman is thinking about a dream deferred many summers ago.
It's a summer vacation tradition as old as overpacking. You load the kids in the car and head off down the road with a set plan for where you're going and when you'll get there. And that's when your children look out those darn windows. In back seats across the country this summer, they'll be begging. Can we go there? Or how about there? And although parents can obviously say no, you need to be aware. Your children may never forgive you. For example, when I was about 8 or 9, we were driving through Gatlinburg, Tennessee when I spotted Hillbilly Golf, a mini golf course where you got to ride a funicular to the first hole. My parents sped past, and I never forgot. So I reached out on Facebook, looking for other stories of other parents who never stopped at other places. And I got a lot of co-misery.
Dutch Wonderland. You knew you would have fun, but we just drove right past it.
It's called the Crater of Diamonds, and I could never understand why my dad would not let us dig for diamonds.
Dinosaur World?
It was a giant dinosaur. How could you not stop for the giant dinosaur?
Some live a lifetime and never see beyond the glossy brochure of their wishful thinking. But not me. I recently returned to Gatlinburg and got a surprise my younger self could have never imagined.
This is worth the wait.
Turns out Hillbilly Golf is still in business.
It's just like I remember it too.
So finally, I rode up. Wow. And saw for the first time the course of my dreams, built right into the side of a mountain. Oh. And even though I'm not a great putter, not by a short shot, I can tell you, after 18 holes of excitement and excuses,
Well, that's a maintenance issue.
I sincerely believe my parents did me a favor.
The mayor.
Delayed gratification beats instant every time.
That's great.
And saying no helps kids grow. Which is why, when I got home and showed my kids pictures from the trip,
Will you take us to Hillbilly Golf?
I decided to give them something to look forward to. No! In 50 years.
Time for something completely different.
Millions of Americans spent time in the yard these past few days, cooking out or just hanging out. But it's a safe guess few of us have had the sort of unforgettable run-in our Steve Hartman now shares with us.
You've no doubt seen many animal rescues, from barn fires to flash floods. Critters cut loose and airlifted. But until you've seen this story, you have not seen it all.
Yeah, it was surreal.
It's an unbelievable thing to see. You know, if we didn't catch that on camera, no one would have ever believed it.
Our drama unfolds at a backyard cookout in Burton, Michigan, where friends Tyler Whalen, John Pazinski, and Bill Messenger were just wrapping up their weekly cookout when a raccoon appeared.
The raccoon had just stolen an American single, much like this one, a harmless caper, until it became clear to everyone that this raccoon had bitten off way more than it could chew.
We're looking at it, we noticed it was choking.
Pointing at its neck like the universal sign for choking, it was like this.
Right after that's when
Bill
just sprung into action and started hitting its back.
And now,
He is choking though.
you've seen it all.
A little bit lower, Bill.
I could not believe a wild raccoon was letting him hit it in the back that hard. I was like, oh my God.
Was leaning back into it like, help me out, brother.
I think it knew that he was trying to help it.
And help it, he did.
There you go. There it is. Let's go. You're laying it down. Yes.
Watch again in slow motion and you can see, right there, out came the cheese.
Oh my God.
For the obligatory don't try this at home warning, we reached out to an animal behavior expert, Professor Suzanne McDonald from York University in Toronto. She is a wealth of information.
I've seen it all. I've been bitten by it all. I've been pooped on by it all.
Perhaps too much information, but to the point.
Don't do that. Don't be slapping raccoons or any other animal on the back. But it wasn't like he was giving them mouth to mouth or anything.
And she says a choking animal can't bite you. Regardless, the guys believe they had no choice.
Who would have thought?
We all thought it was gonna die.
Oh yeah, we were pumped for that little dude.
He was one of us at that point, so we...
Sounds like that raccoon wasn't the only one.
And I'm proud to call these guys my friends.
All choked up.
Good moment.
Oh my God.
Once again, we head to the beach. But for the family our Steve Hartman caught up with, being near the water is a different kind of escape.
If you take a ferry to Isle La Ho, an island community way off the coast of Maine, you can visit the gift shop, the general store, and, well, that's it. Just the general store and the gift shop. There are literally no other businesses on the island.
So people who live out here are resilient, they're creative.
And they're few. Too few, according to Bob Olney, president of the Isle La Ho Community Development Corporation.
And it's essential that we continue to attract families.
So, last year, this community of about 50 year-round residents made a post, hoping to woo a new family. They were careful not to oversell the place. Though it's not everyone's cup of tea, Who knows? It may very well be yours. And they got a taker. A young family from central Massachusetts.
Ready?
Dakota Waters, his son Flynn, wife Hannah, and their baby Amelia moved here a few months ago.
Oh, our whole family thought we were psychotic. They're like a remote island in the middle of the ocean.
Had you been on an island before?
Nope, never even been on the ocean.
And yet, here they live, the newest members of a dying breed.
Uh-oh.
At one point, there were about 300 communities out here on Maine's most isolated islands. Now, just over a dozen remain. And keeping those alive will require a new breed of frontiersmen, folks who value solitude over Starbucks and really don't mind a little adversity.
People have traded the good life for a convenient one, and convenience isn't always the best.
To that point, the Waters raise some of their own food and work multiple jobs.
You want to pet your chickens?
Dakota does plumbing, lawn maintenance. The old landlubber even works on a lobster boat. And as for the children, this year his son Flynn was one of just 2 kids in the K-8 schoolhouse. And that was the other.
That's no one.
The place is just that small. But Dakota says the tininess is more blessing than curse.
There we go! We have so much more bonding time with the kids. It's undescribably wholesome.
You think you're here for good?
Yeah.
I'm not moving my stuff off this rock again. It was too hard to get it here.
Come for the beauty, stay because it's too hard to leave. Could be another soft sell ad.
You know that saying about walking a mile in another man's shoes? As Steve Hartman discovered, those words still resonate.
Nothing gets past Minneapolis bus driver Jane Arndt Verhelst. Tire pressure, seats clean, all systems go. But recently, Jane noticed a problem outside her bus. It was about a month ago. She was approaching this intersection when she saw a woman standing in the middle of the road.
And then when I opened up the door, that's when I really saw her. I saw her from head to toe, and I was just like, wow.
The woman, who appeared to be homeless, wasn't wearing any shoes.
I can't imagine what it's like walking around in bare feet on the hot pavement, and just nobody sees you. She's just kind of invisible, you know?
You don't have any shoes!
But not to Jane, who immediately took the shoes off her own feet.
Here's one, here's another.
And gave them to her.
No, she's getting my shoes. Oh, okay.
I knew that you're not supposed to drive in your socks. It's a big no-no. But I couldn't help it.
Come on in, you guys.
Several riders witnessed that moment, but perhaps no one was more touched by it than this woman. Sarah Selden had been homeless before. She knows how meaningful a simple kindness can be.
It really affected me because it was like, oh my gosh, she sees this woman.
We're often told to put ourselves in someone else's shoes. But in certain moments, it's almost more important to let that someone stand in ours.
Steve Hartman now, with a tale of generosity.
It hit him out of the blue. Francis Aproku, custodian at James Madison High School in Vienna, Virginia, says he was walking through a parking lot earlier this month when he saw something that literally brought him to his knees.
My leg started shaking. I can't stand. I was panicking, and I have to get myself on the floor, and I was crying.
You were crying?
Yeah.
Hey guys, get him up. He's okay.
Laid out, flat on the pavement, crying. Tears of joy. The trail of these happy tears starts here, with a group of sophomore football players. The boys used to chat with Francis outside their weight room.
These are my people.
Eventually, those conversations led to friendships.
May God bless you guys all.
With students like Bennett Hishman Nick Tiberthopoulos and Logan Georgeless.
He's always just such a nice person.
If we were to have a bad day, he'd be the first guy, be like, hey, are you okay, you know? And we're like, I mean, let's do something nice for him. No one else is going to.
And that's when they asked Francis, if you could have one splurge, what would you buy?
I said, what? Why do you want to know?
Did you answer their question?
Yeah.
What'd you tell them?
I told them that my heart desire is a Jeep Wrangler.
A Jeep Wrangler?
Yes. That's why I'm trying to work hard.
Francis sends money to his relatives in Ghana. He's squeezed for cash. Getting that car was nothing but a pipe dream. So the boys started a fundraising campaign. All on their own they did this. And within just 4 months, they'd raised $22,000. Enough for a nice 2015 Jeep Wrangler. Francis was so surprised to see those wheels, he started rolling.
That's your car, man. That's your car. That's your car.
It got a little to the point where it was like, is he okay? Making sure he's okay, and we helped him up.
And then we finally got him in the car, and he's just in disbelief.
It was incredible.
I will never, ever forget today.
Not because of the car, he says, but because of the kids.
I can't believe this in America. Only America.
Only in America.
America is a great country. May God bless America.
And God bless the Jeep Wrangler.
Exactly, you got it.
Steve Hartman is here to remind us Halloween is just around the corner.
Make no bones about it. Bill Pyle's front yard has bones all about it. But to him, the scariest thing out here is his mailbox, which every year curses him with hate mail.
This is a side of Halloween decorations I never knew existed. There are people that complain about them?
Yes, worshiping the devil, you're going to hell, you're glorifying death, yeah.
Which is why he was already thinking about scaling back the display when the last note arrived.
I stopped dead in my tracks in the driveway looking at that letter.
Tammy Wyhe wrote that note.
Yeah.
Tammy has breast cancer, and to get her daily radiation treatments, she had to travel this country road in Oxford, Ohio, right past Bill's house. Given her situation, it's understandable how this diorama of death could be unsettling. But the tone of her letter was more humorous than sternum. Tammy wrote, "The Bone family and what they are up to is a highlight of my journey." She went on to explain how her last day of cancer treatment was coming up and how grateful she was for this daily diversion. And when Bill read that,
Tears came to my eyes, really touched my heart.
And right then, he knew what he had to do.
Another skeleton.
He worked through the night so that when that letter writer made her final trip past his house in the morning, this is what she saw. A whole skeleton crew cheering her on.
It was very touching to think that somebody would go to that effort for a stranger.
Former stranger.
Good seeing you again. We talk all the time now. You want to take a walk out and see these guys?
Yeah.
Bill says Tammy's letter and now friendship have completely negated all the hate mail, inspiring him to not only keep his display, but to grow it.
Things are going to stay up and they're going to stay active.
All year round?
All year round.
There's more letters to come.
There will be.
Good and bad.
Yeah.
Steve Hartman this morning has a story about brotherhood.
At Clemson University in South Carolina,
Good morning, guys.
the Clemson Life program gives students with intellectual disabilities a chance to learn life skills for independent living.
So we are going to do grocery shopping today.
But as much as the program offers, Junior Charlie McGee wanted the whole college experience, from Alpha to Omega.
Why did you want to join a fraternity?
To have a great time and experiencing that brotherhood and more joy.
Unfortunately, rushing a fraternity is a process. There are interviews and mixers, and even then there's no guarantee of acceptance. In fact,
no fraternity here had ever taken a kid from the Clemson Life program. Until now.
And when Charlie found out he got a bid, he was so excited he ran out of his left shoe and into the loving arms of his new fraternity brothers at Pi Kappa Alpha.
We saw him run towards us and we just lost it. And then after that, it was just raw emotion of all of us just taking him in.
That was one of the coolest moments at Clemson that we've had, was seeing that right there. So
The guys told me at first some of the members doubted a person with Down syndrome could fit in with the group, but they were willing to do Charlie the favor. Only to learn later that Charlie was the one doing them the favor.
the joy and light that we were missing in our chapter that we didn't know we were missing from the beginning is unreal.
He kind of broke all the preconceived notions that I thought of that a fraternity man should be like.
Others have come to the same conclusion. This year, a total of 6 fraternities and 5 sororities all welcome students from Clemson Life. And according to Charlie, it will be a game changer. Because he says something magical happens whenever you're accepted this fully.
My disability, it doesn't really exist.
When you're with your fraternity brothers, you feel like your disability doesn't exist?
Yes, sir.
Now that's a rush.
Steve Hartman this morning has the story of a daughter's quest for answers.
Before she was even born,
This is him?
That's my dad.
Jerry Eisenhower's dad, Army Private William Walters, got shipped off to World War II. All the family got back was his body and a letter that said he died somewhere in France.
That's it?
That's it. I just always wondered where he died, how he died. It was just a little part of a puzzle piece that was missing in my life.
She just didn't have any stories about her dad.
Jan Moore is Jerry's daughter.
Was the family resigned to the fact that you would never know?
Yeah. Yep, pretty much.
Until a few months ago. Jerry was at her home in Syracuse, Nebraska, when she got a message. It was from a small village in France, and it read, in part, "On the occasion of the 80th anniversary of the liberation of France, we pay tribute to Private William Walters."
We were looking for our soldier. We did not know that he was their soldier too.
In August 1944, American troops began liberating the village of Grace-sur-Loing. It was a joyous day, but there was one casualty. While crossing the river into town, Private Walters' boat capsized and he drowned at the age of 20. This past summer, a historian from Grace-sur-Loing tracked down Walters' family and invited them to France to honor their shared hero and the sacrifice he made here. As one eyewitness explained, they went looking for him and found him. They did a lot of things to try to revive him, but it didn't work.
He showed me where they laid him,
He was here.
and they covered him with flowers. It's just amazing, the care that they gave him.
Last week, she returned to her father's grave.
First time I've been here and had the answers.
Jerry says she now feels at peace.
It's a good feeling.
And it's all thanks to the grateful people of France, who even 80 years on, still see America through the prism of our better angels.
What's in a name? Well, let's ask Steve Hartman.
When folks in Swedberg, Missouri decided to name their elementary school building, everyone knew it had to be named after someone truly special.
You have your name on a building, that's huge.
It has to be someone that you just know would be right. That makes you think of when you think of good.
Throughout history, there have been many national figures who fit that bill. Also, lots of famous Missourians who would have been great choices to celebrate and inspire. But in the end, they went with Claudine Wilson. Who is that, you ask? You wouldn't believe. Meet school custodian Claudine Wilson.
You can get her like a vacuum and she'll appreciate it because she really likes cleaning.
Yeah, she's like in the zone. She focuses.
And she just really dedicated herself to this school.
So much so that over the past 30 years, she has taken on a busload of additional responsibilities.
Morning.
From transportation coordination.
How are you guys today?
To lunch duty, to landscaping. From facility operations to fill-in operator.
Sweetburg School, janitor speaking. Can I help you? And the next thing I know, I was leaving at 6 in the morning and getting home about 7:30 at night.
And what's your motivation for doing all that?
The kids at your heart.
That's what makes Claudine what she is.
School board president Chuck Boren.
These kids get sick. You think they go to the nurse to start with? They go to her. If they had a bad night, they go to her. I mean, and she's there for each and every one of them.
And all that is why the school board voted unanimously for the new name. And why today, there's really only one person in this whole community who remains unconvinced that Claudine deserves this honor. Claudine.
It touches your heart, but I don't think my name needs to be up on a building somewhere.
So we'll add humility to one of the reasons why you should be up there.
In America, building names often inspire greatness.
You done a good job this morning.
And Sweetburg, Missouri is no exception. They just define greatness a little differently.
Would you want to be like her?
Yeah.
That's what everybody should want to be, you know? That's what I would want to be.
Another holiday tradition, Steve Hartman hitting the road with Secret Santa.
Some people were skeptical at first of the stranger who rolled into flood-ravaged Avery County, North Carolina this past week, claiming to be some kind of Santa.
You don't have a beard.
No.
Where's your reindeer?
Reindeer?
Yet he persisted.
You live around here?
Approaching people in parking lots and gas stations and even motel rooms where those displaced by Hurricane Helene are still sheltering.
How are you?
3 months after the storm.
You probably don't know me.
No.
How could she? He is Secret Santa.
Why did you want to come here?
I think when people go through tragedy, they can lose their house, all their belongings. But what they can't lose is hope. And maybe we can give a little hope. 300 Secret Santa dollars.
Oh my gosh.
Every year, around the holidays,
I need this so bad.
Did that help?
This anonymous wealthy businessman travels the country.
You're welcome.
He gives away about $100,000 worth of $100 bills to both random strangers
Are you kidding?
and people he seeks out, knowing their need.
400 of these Secret Santa dollars.
Thank you.
Jamie Gwynn was living here with his wife Melissa when a mudslide ripped the garage off their house.
I grabbed a hold of her and I said, well, at least we got each other. We can fix the house. And it couldn't have been 10 men inside her. And I remember just getting crushed.
A second mudslide took the whole house and Melissa.
You haven't really lost her, because she's with you. And she's smiling down on you right now.
And it's those words of comfort, the hugs,
God bless you,
and the hope that really seem to move people, much more than the money itself.
That's the gift.
That's the gift, that you haven't been forgotten about, that we do know you're there, and we do care.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Secret Santa always says that kindness is the bridge between all people, a bridge that can't be burned, bombed, or washed away in a flood. Always there, just waiting for us to cross.
Maybe this will make your Christmas just a little bit better. Merry Christmas to you. All right.